So Matthias Jaissle giving his first press conference on home soil and giving pretty clear intention of where he wants this Newcastle side to go with intense, front-footed, aggressive football. We're going to touch on how he's told Nick Voltemade to leave things in the past, some transfers out and some speculation of players leaving, a linked transfer in, and we're going to finish on a previous club of Matias Yicler's that are having financial difficulty and may need to sell up to 8 players this summer window, which would be a prime target for Newcastle to go and take some young talent. But first of all, if you're new around here, I'm Adam. This is Two for Joy. Get down there, like, hype, subscribe, do all the good things. Hit me up in the comments. And I just want to say before we start, 10 days ago, we were at 2,000 subs. We are now 300 subs away from doubling that and being at 4,000. I am so grateful to every single one of you that gets involved. Like I say, hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. It's exciting times for Newcastle. Get on board. Otherwise, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with Matthias Jaissle giving us a pretty clear indication of what he believes this Newcastle side can become. And it was really nice in the press conference to hear him say, if everybody pulls in the right direction together, this will be a success. Not this can be, this will be a success. I love the conviction of the way he talks. I love the way that he's turned around and said he wants Newcastle to play intense, front-footed, aggressive football. And it leaves me in a position where I'm actually optimistic about this upcoming season. I genuinely believe him getting some training time and being around the buzz of the city. And there was big mentions of Jaissle hearing the Geordie song for him. And I love this. I love the smile on his face when they talk to him about it. And most of all, I loved him saying when he went to the Mestalla, walking out on the pitch, the goosebumps he got from the fans. It's something really special. But comments made around Nick Voltemade, and one of the journalists put to him that Nick Voltemade had a drop-off in form last season. And I liked the way he addressed this subject and said he's had long conversations with Nick about this, but Nick needs to leave that in the past. And this whole leave it in the past philosophy is something that he's adopted not only one-to-one with players, but as a philosophy within the group, within the team, saying that he doesn't want conversations about the previous tenure, the previous model, and how things operated before he arrived. We're only here to talk about moving forward, the philosophies he has, and the way that this model will operate going forward. And then moving on to transfers out, because there's been plenty of news regarding transfers out, with our first Alex Murphy reportedly going to Bayer Leverkusen for a season-long loan. I think this is a great move, but it's a clear indication, in my opinion, that we will be looking to bolster this back line. Joe Willock being linked again to Besiktas, and talks being around Besiktas being open to paying €20 million, a £17.4 million fee to take Joe Willock off our hands. But the interesting thing around the Joe Willock topic is that Joe Willock has made 4 interviews since the end of last season, and in every one stated that he wants to be part of Newcastle. He wants to keep his career going at Newcastle. So whether that will draw more speculation as to whether this will happen or won't happen, it will be interesting in weeks to come. And then obviously murmurings around Nick Pope still on the move, with no source giving a clear indication as to where Nick Pope's next move will be. But Nick Pope well aware that in this setup he will be the third choice goalkeeper. And Jacob Murphy still as a possible departure being linked to Everton. And I find this one Probably a tough one to believe, only because Everton securing Brendan Rodgers and letting Dwight McNeil go in the other way, a swap deal coming around, but it's been confirmed, and it leaves this transfer less clear for Jacob Murphy as to whether he will or won't leave the club. But what I want to touch on is the links to Newcastle and a fullback, Amar Dedić, and I'm interested with this one because Dedić is a right back, and it's not where I thought the first link for Newcastle, a fullback, would be. But Dedić played 24 games last season, started 21 of them. He's only 22 years old, I believe, and profiles very similarly to Tino Livramento, which is a real interesting age profile, position profile, stats profile, very similarly to Tino Livramento. And I think this one could be a starter coming from Benfica. He's a really young, exciting fullback in the same way that Tino Livramento is. But I wonder if this opens the door for Newcastle to look at Tino Livramento out, or whether this is just bolstering that right-hand side because Jaissle doesn't believe that Leo Shahar is quite ready. I actually quite liked seeing Leo Shahar play the other night. I felt there were points in his game where he has flaws, he has weaknesses, but he's so young and I really want to see him get the minutes. And then obviously, moving on to the big news, that one of Matthias Jaissle's previous clubs needs to sell. And they're saying the projection is that they need to sell from 6 to 8 players this summer. And this is RB Leipzig. And there is a host of young talent at RB Leipzig. I'm not going to go through all of the players as we're not technically linked, but strong ties to Leipzig, obviously with Matthias Jaissle doing his apprenticeship as a coach, coming through as an assistant manager and moving on to being a manager and winning trophies there. The players of RB Leipzig will be well aware of who Matias Yicler is. This approach for Matthias Jaissle coming forward, obviously having trained under Thomas Tuchel as a player, and saying that he will try and source information about the league and get a bearing on the league from Thomas Tuchel, who had a successful career in this league, and Ralf Rangnick obviously having coached Matthias Jaissle as a coach and as an assistant manager, having a bearing on the Premier League as well and a fair understanding. This is a model that has brought through the likes of Julian Nagelsmann, who I was a big advocate for Newcastle to go for. And we have just gone for the younger, progressive Matthias Jaissle. And I'm really interested to see what you guys think in the comments. There's a lot of news coming around, linked players, some of them with strong links, some of them with softer links. But the interesting thing with the speculation being made around Højbjerg rejecting Newcastle, and Keith Downey coming out and saying that the club had given him and other journalists the all clear to release that story and post that story, is the one reason that it makes me believe he was not the intended target. And I know people are coming out and saying we've offered a contract, but whether we've actually offered a contract or whether it's intermediary talks between agents, you never really know. The interesting thing, most of all, if you want some deep dive into some player stats and linked players and players that other people believe could be hot targets and hot takes for the moment, please check out Antonio Mango. He's doing some really good work, doing some great deep dives. Definitely head over and check out his latest one. There is a load of players, some RB Leipzig players linked in there as well. It's a really interesting topic at the moment. What I've said previously, I stick with. I think it really comes down to the next couple of players through the door will give a clear direction as to where Newcastle are going next. They'll give a clear direction as to where Jaissle, Ross Wilson and the backroom staff feel there are holes that need to be plugged and there are players brought in to progress this team forward. But I think those signings will give us a clear indication as to where Newcastle believe or want to be going to be successful in Jaissle's first season. Like, hype, subscribe, do all the good things. Thanks to everybody that's become a member. Honestly, I really appreciate everybody for the likes, the comments, the subs. Even if you disagree with me, I enjoy having the debate with you and seeing your perspective on why you believe that I'm wrong. It's an open platform, open discussion. And hopefully, guys, I will see you in the next one.